Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for being here. I love my bros over at Weird at Night. Like they're my peoples, right? And I've seen you on there several times doing your drops. Tell us a bit about the start of your musical journey.
Man, I've been out here for my whole life, born and raised in Seattle, and I've always kind of just been someone who's been an ancillary piece in different musical groups. I've been in several bands, and I just have always felt like representation, like you guys were talking about earlier, is something that matters. So the only way that you can do that is really get into it yourself and
Yeah.
create that lane. I've never adhered to the stereotypical parts of hip hop that people see. So I always wanted to have that. And I know that there's people out there who happen to embody blackness who don't necessarily adhere to what's put out there.
Hmm.
And so, in order for those people to feel comfortable enough to come out of their shell, I feel like you have to be that beacon, right? And so that's
Yeah.
the birth of my entire ideology with the music.
Mhm.
Everything you hear me do, it's all from the space of originality, but without gimmick. And that in itself is a gimmick. I'm really a regular guy,
Yeah.
right? And that's what everything embodies with what I'm putting out here. But it's very alternative influenced, grungy, raw. That's what my music is.
Well, I've heard some of your music, and I gotta say, you infuse a lot of different kinds of messaging in your music. And, for me, any artist who's putting their artwork out there to the world, you got to be saying something, right?
Yep.
And oftentimes it's like, you got to be saying something different. What I really appreciate about, what you do in the lane that you pave is that you're not trying to mimic what major labels are doing right now or what artists are doing. And I think we need so much more of that, honestly, Terry.
Exactly.
Like there is such a huge hunger, I think, for us to go back to the kind of origination of hip hop, which was this positive messaging infused in it, right? It was something that
Exactly.
was uplifting and empowering to people, and we do not hear that right now on the radio, man.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it's real. Tell us a bit about that state, because for you to pave your own lane, to do things even like Weird at Night, right? To even be a character on there is like totally mind blowing, because they're like, yeah, we're up here, we're uplifting amazing talent, but you found a way to bring your work to that set, and it is such a beautiful whole environment. Just tell us a bit about some of your experience working with the Weird at Night crew.
Thank you. Thank you for that. The Weird at Night crew is great. Those are a bunch of individuals who are unafraid to test boundaries and actually express genuinely. That's what's lacking is genuineness. People every day are out here, they feel a certain way about things. And because we deal with societal norms and how we are, it's hard to express those things in conversation without that fear of being not canceled, because that wasn't always a thing, but that's what
Mhm.
we can call it now, right? So with those guys, I feel open. They've been one of the few people who've seen my work and actually like given me flowers while I'm here and trying to spread it out there. So to me, the only way to repay that is to be as genuine, be consistent, and give them something to be proud to share. Right. Again, I have only met Blazing Space through the band I used to perform with a lot, Barax, who was led by Shayna Shepherd. I know a
Mhm.
lot of you guys know who she is. And he did a lot of visual work. He volunteered to do videos for me. He just put himself out there.
Mhm.
And it kind of reinvigorated my spirit and let me know that it's like, man, it's okay. It's okay to be what I've been being. I don't have to adhere to these boxes. That's a lot of the ideology or the thinking in my music,
Yeah.
right? And you've heard that, as you said before, that's all it is. So working with those guys has really opened up a way for me to show that blackness encompasses everything.
Yeah.
And we're trying to, like you said, step back into the originality of hip hop and what it was, the positive momentum forward, helping impoverished people help other people.
Yeah.
It's about doing that, right? So I feel like the only way to continue our genre forward with respect is to bring that plethora of ideals out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nowadays the digitization of music and our world in general means that a musician such as yourself, there's a ton of different platforms. I just talked about over 200 podcast platforms, right? Like the idea is that you get to infuse your music in different ways, like on a show like Weird at Night to showcase what you do is one of those great gems that I think we're living in. But also sometimes it's an inundation of like options for people. How have you found as a musician, putting your work out there so the public can hear it? What are some of the things that you think have really been beneficial to you in that way?
Um, Basically, just the ability to even simply put something in front of your friends. I know that a lot of the advice that musicians or people give is to not really rely on your local area to support you because you'll be disappointed, and that's true.
Yeah.
But to have that immediate feedback and people either like or they don't like it, or you see how it moves, just seeing that just gives you the confidence to keep going, realizing that the goal should not always be the destination, it's the journey, which
Yeah.
is a life thing. You just create, you just have to create, and then the more things and avenues you find to put it out on, you should just do that.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. I've been a shelled person for a long time until the last few years where it was like, okay, I have something here. I've done things in the past. Why am I resisting success? And
Mm.
success is only defined by your actual growth, right?
Mm.
I don't have to look to a Hollywood status to say that I'm successful in what I've done. It's just impacting the individuals I impact with
Yeah.
my messaging, which is humanity's messaging.
Yeah, no, and that for me is everything. Even with me on this show, I'm always talking about creating impact media, man. If something I'm doing, somebody I'm having an interview with and having a discussion with is doing some inspiration, is inspiring me, it's inspiring others. Like that's the goal, right? And so when I know I'm meeting that goal, I'm like, I'm good, I'm straight. One of the things I really appreciate though about the musical world is kind of what you've been describing with the crew at Weird at Night and what you just described there in terms of your friends and like having a base. It really is like you work with other musicians and things become like a family. It's like there's such a tight knit community of amazing musicians here that a lot of musicians are now coming to Seattle to kind of tap in to that brilliance and tap into that, that kind of community of music talent and ability that's right here. So with you being from here, I'm sure you've been able to experience that, but I love how you describe it as such. It's something that I'm always thinking about when I'm talking to a musician. I'm like, there's something very specific about the Seattle music scene. So I love that you haven't given up on us as fans. I know it's a lot of hard work, but I really thank you for putting your work out there. I want to make sure I give you time to let the folks know how to find your amazing work. You can look right there. Let them know how they catch up with you, Terry.
You can go to terrymonstrosity.com, or you can also go to Bandcamp, terrymonstrosity.bandcamp.com. I'm also on every streaming platform like everybody else is. So you can just type that name in. I'm the only one, thankfully. And yeah, go check it out. It's really just something I feel like everybody would appreciate. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a different sonic sound. It's just something that you can take in and move on from. You don't have to be afraid if your kids walk in for the explicit lyrics. Your grandma could listen to it. Yeah, there's a couple cuss words, but it's not like that. It's just for emphasis. Other than that, I got the new Rent Non project coming with Lex Lingo and Mind the Villain. Be on the lookout for that. We have some singles up on YouTube.
Amazing. Terry Monstrosity in the building.
Thank you.
Terry Moore, thank you so much for being with me. And thank you for not being in your shell and bringing your music out so all of us can be inspired, be a fan, and listen to some great music. I appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, you guys. I get to wrap